All right. Thanks very much, in particular to Start Engine for putting on this conference. It's nostalgic for us because actually at the first Start Engine conference in November, that's when we really went deep with Kodak in particular to create a joint venture and the KODAKOne. And so it was down at the on the beach here over at, I want to call it beaches, but you know, Shutters, sorry. And so it's great to be here again, and we really look forward to their next November conference as well. So first of all, forward-looking statements. If I make any, I didn't mean to, and I'm sorry, and they don't count, okay? Thank you. That's our lawyer right there clapping. Anyways, KODAKOne, image rights platform. So I only have 10 minutes, so I'm going to talk just a little bit on the product, and then I'm going to talk a little bit on our journey of creating a regulated ICO, which has been amazing and incredible and all those types of things. And, but I also want to point out right down in front here, there's a few people. There's Jan, our CEO, is right here. Can you stand up, Jan? And then Philip, our COO, is right here. So right afterwards, if you guys have questions or want to call bullshit on anything I'm saying or correct me on my mistakes, those are the guys to talk to, and our lawyer, Jeff, will be right beside them the whole time. So anyways, all right, let me get started here quickly, if you don't mind. So first of all, what is the KODAKOne platform? The KODAKOne, what does it do? So it is a platform. It's an IP registration blockchain, right? That's focused on images. Now it really can do multiple digital assets, including video and music and all the rest of it. But we have chosen to really focus on the image economy, and there's a massive economy in there. So first of all, what it does is it registers these images. It does smart licensing of these images. It does transparent accounting of these images. It does instant payment, image tracking, post-licensing management. It's a distribution platform, and finally, it's a community marketplace. And so one of the questions that we got and some of the criticisms that we came out with our platform is saying, well, why is this needed? It's because there's about, right there's 8 different pieces of an entire economy that we actually would like to refer to as now a crypto economy, because that economy can be completely now based in a trustless environment on this blockchain. So somebody says, well, why can't you just do it all in cash? Well, because cash can't track the post-licensing management. Cash can't pay things instantly. So these are in my opinion, the junior questions that were asked at the beginning of this nascent industry. But this is the power of the type of platform that is being created, and I'll talk exactly why somebody like Kodak is so interested in something like that. So in particular, who are our stakeholders in this particular ecosystem? Obviously, it's the photographers, it's the IP buyers, it's the image agencies, and then there's the partners like the brands and the service providers and the advertisers. So there's lots of people that would love to have a frictionless economy happening here on a blockchain. All right, so I'm going super quick here because I know that most people here want to get to the security aspects and some of the journey we've gone through. Okay, so kind of like the highlight value propositions here would be we replace fiat currencies. Now you can instantly trade back to a fiat. So somebody says, well, why do you even need it? It's because it's part of the blockchain that tracks that post-licensing and helps manage it and provides instant payment, right? It does real-time transactions, and you can and the rights holders, whether they're working through an agency or whether the actual photographer, can fully design their licensing platform. So our revenue streams, just quickly, are obviously transaction fees, USCO registration fees, that's the United States Copyright Office fees, post-licensing management fees, direct licensing of the stock imagery that we have, and it could be somebody else's stock imagery. It might be on somebody else's platform, like a Getty or something like that. But we can do post-licensing management wasn't really available until blockchain, and I'll explain that in a little bit. Obviously, the big data that we are attracting, and we've got customers in that area already, and there's some additional revenue streams as well. So again, I apologize for smoking through this really quick. When we presented, and I'll give you the value proposition a little bit that we presented to Kodak to create this, but when we presented it to Kodak, basically they took a look at all of this and said, okay, you know what, this makes a lot of sense for us to get involved. So why? Why did Kodak get involved with this particular project? I don't think it's any secret, and I'm not speaking out of school, when we talk about what digital did to many industries, whether it was the music industry or the movie industry, or whether it was the image industry, and Kodak in particular, right? Kodak was decimated by digital. I mean, they were instrumental in developing the digital camera, but they were really rooted, and Peter Diamandis, who happens to be one of our advisors, really talks a lot about this in his book, how, Kodak was that classic case of just like being, too big to fail or too good for their own, or too smart for their own good as it relates to digital. But what digital did was it took content and it turned it into a file, right? You could share it, you could copy it. It was hard to track. It could move quickly. It was so many great things, but the one thing it now wasn't really, really good at is being monetized. And who really got hurt in that whole process were the content providers, right? So Jan and Philip in particular, who lead our management team, they're really, really passionate about the content creators. They love creators. And you know what? Kodak loves creators. And Jeff Clark, the CEO of Kodak, loves creators. And in fact, their thesis is, and I would 100% agree with it, is that there's a renaissance that's about to happen. And that renaissance is going to happen because now, for the first time, we can take digital and we can quantify it, we can blockchain it, we can track it, we can police it, we can enforce it, we can pay for it instantly. And that's a big deal. So while digitization of all this content was great because it created sharing, what it did do is it devalued the actual original content. Now that's changed. And that's why Kodak wants to be involved in this. Kodak understands how big digital is, but however big digital is, digital rights management on the blockchain now, or because of the blockchain, is 10 times as big. And that's the size of this opportunity here. So ultimately what we do is we deliver trust, money, and we save time for all the stakeholders in this ecosystem, okay? I'm going to get right into the security piece of this, which I think is what most people are interested here. I'm not here to voice any opinions. I'm only here to hopefully, I'm going to try not to voice an opinion, but I'm going to hopefully just share the experience that we've gone through. We are doing a SAFT. I'm listening for the gasps in the room. We're doing a SAFT, right? SAFTs exist, right? And I know, they don't exist. And there's our OM and SAFT has been reviewed by the SEC. We have a green light, and we were allowed to sell our SAFT. Now, it took us, we had OMs and we had security documents and Reg Ds all the way done back in January when we announced, right? And it took us up until this point to get a fully reviewed document out the door. Now, part of that was due to the fact that when we announced, the Kodak stock went from $3 to I think about $16 on crazy volume. So, what was interesting is a number of people said, or maybe rumored that, oh man, we had regulatory problems. The problems didn't come from the regulators. The problems, or really the insights, came from our internal teams, including the people at Kodak, that understood the implication of a stock that ran from $3 to $16 in a matter of a few days. Because if it didn't stay there, in the real regulated world, you've got every possibility of misinformation, class action lawsuits, and all the stuff that the crypto world just didn't have the maturity yet to understand. So the brakes went on. Not because of regulators and not because of anybody, but great insight and advisors that said, whoa, wait a minute, this is bigger and a lot different than what we thought. Every T has got to be crossed, every I's got, and we thought it was. So when we sat back down with the regulators and said, hey, how do we really make sure that this is, going to be a regulatory compliant rather than just a Reg D? Because if you're doing a security token, whoa, I'm giving an opinion. I'm going to do it. I'm going to give an opinion. If you're doing a security token and it's a Reg D security token, today, guess what? It's a Reg D. Like it's big, like yawn. Like that's not the crypto market. That's not what was necessary, in my opinion, what was necessarily designed for this. We're designed, like really, these crypto assets, or whatever the right terminology that everybody has to argue about up here, is that we're talking about an instrument that's fungible as a utility. Boy, I just said another bad word. But it's fungible as a utility, but can be regulated. It can be a security compliant, regulated, well, it can be a regulatory compliant utility. And that's really what we have focused to try to build. So a couple of the key characteristics of our SAFT. First of all, it's a Reg D, so it's a 1-year hold. Like it or leave it is how it is. Our intent, and what we're working towards, is now doing a Reg A. We're going to take that Reg D, we're going to subscribe it into our Reg A. We're not going to raise any new money with the Reg A. So we had a great, Kevin Rose at the Times wrote a great article. He said, these guys are idiots, basically, he called us. And he was like, oh, because of Reg D, you know, like, you have to be a sophisticated investor, and photographers, you know, generally, they're not sophisticated investors. How they ever get their hands on their token? And, you know, he wouldn't listen to reason, right? And we explained the process of, well, look, we're going to go to Reg A, and it's going to be a process here, and the next step there. There's going to be regulated ATSs. And he was just like, oh, no, it's all about crypto, and, you know, and trying to take the high road. And what's interesting to see is that high road 4 months ago is now what everybody's saying, oh, that's not the way that you should have gone. What you should have happened is you should have gone and, you know, done a security token. So we feel somewhat validated, but still cautious in terms of what we're trying to create. So I got 1 minute. So here's what we do. We take the Reg D, subscribe it into the Reg A. It makes the Reg D free trading. We try to do that coincided with the timing of the ATSs coming on board. Now, we have announced a deal with T0. We hope, you know, and you know, we had a nice little press release with them saying, other than their own token, we'll be the first token that trades with them. And whether it's them or the other people they're collaborating with, wherever we can create liquidity is what we're going to do. And at that point, I'm getting the cutoff here. So at that point, when we declare the network live, what we'll be able to do is the rights holders, not the issuer, but the rights holders will have the option to convert into the SAFT. And that SAFT, that token, may be a security or it may not. We don't know at this time. But by giving the rights holder the ability to make that decision, we can sell it as a Reg D with a SAFT attached today. Anyway, there's a bunch more stuff to go through. Jan and Philip are over here. They're happy to answer your questions. We hope you guys watch what we're doing, and thank you so much for your time and patience.